Awesome. Well, I think let's go ahead and get started. We've got a lot of awesome content to get into. So, Scott, bring up your screen there. So, yeah, today's topic is growth with purpose, and so we're going to be looking at 4 ways to grow your training business. And super excited today to be joined by Scott D'Amico, who I'll be handing over to in just a moment. But first off, to introduce myself, my name is Andre. I'm the North American Regional Manager here at Arlo. And in working at Arlo, I've had the privilege of spending the last over 5 years now, helping training providers optimize and grow their businesses. For those of you who don't know Arlo, quick introduction of Arlo. So we are a software company and we make software for instructor-led training businesses. Our mission is to empower the delivery of great learning. And one of the key ways we do that is by freeing up you and your team's time so that they can focus on delivering great learning and growing the business rather than all the manual tasks behind the scenes. We've been around for a while, so over 15 years now. And that's really allowed us to gain a deep understanding of the challenges that training providers face. And then we've built obviously a software that can help overcome some of those challenges. As I mentioned, we're super lucky today to be joined by Scott. Scott is a real thought leader in this space and is going to be talking today from his experience leading a successful global training business. So yeah, thanks for joining us today, Scott. Before I do hand it over to Scott, we've got a quick poll. So Bianca, if you can go ahead and launch that, that would be awesome.
Sure, let me just launch that now.
Fantastic. And this is really just so we can learn a little bit more about all of you, the audience, and potentially then tailor some of our conversation to the responses we get. So you should all see that poll come up in front of you. If you do mind just taking a moment to fill that in, that would be fantastic. If you don't see it or you have any issues or questions about it, feel free to also post those in the chat there, and myself or Bianca will be able to help out there. We'll just give people a few moments there to do that. It's always interesting to see who's in the audience and what that looks like. So I'll give people another 20, 30 seconds or so. Yeah, I can see those results coming in now. It's looking like most people are doing both a mix of public and private courses, which is awesome. A really nice blend of delivery methods. So a mix of face-to-face, live online, a little bit less purely e-learning, but also blended, coming out just a little bit ahead of the rest. So it's kind of a blending different formats together into a course. Nice mix of sizes as well. We've got in terms of the number of courses that you're running per month. Awesome. I think you can all probably see those results now, and I'll go ahead and share them. Awesome. Scott, I'll hand it over to you. Take it away.
Thank you, Andre. Really excited to be here with you all today and share a little bit about Communispond and logical operations and how we really focus on growing our training businesses. It's excited to see such a broad mix of how people approach their training, whether it is that mix of virtual, in-person, blended, as well as doing some open enrollment or public courses or dedicated private courses. And it seems like a good mix of the both there. Just a brief intro on me. Once again, my name is Scott D'Amico. I have the privilege of serving in 2 different roles at 2 different training organizations under the same parent umbrella. First, I am the president of a company called Communispond. We're a global communication skills training organization, focus a lot in the soft skills, communication skills space, really known for our programs around public speaking and presentation skills. And also I serve as the EVP of sales and marketing for a company called Logical Operations. Logical Operations is a leading provider of training courseware for training providers. We specialize in the technology space. So anything from, think Microsoft Office, Microsoft Excel type of training courseware, all the way up to emerging technology around AI and big data. So we work with a lot of training providers on a daily basis to make sure that they do have high quality, relevant content to deliver to their end users. I've really spent my entire life and career in the education and training space, from a student to starting my career as a high school teacher, and then moving into the corporate education and training space. In addition to that, one of my passions is really helping people to develop their skills and grow. So I do host a communication skills focused podcast called Communicast, where I interview different business leaders really around what they feel it means to be a great communicator. And then they share tips from throughout their career that have helped them to grow and be successful. So today, as we think about how to really grow a training organization, there's 4 things that we focus on here at Communispond and at Logical Operations. First is you want to start with quality. Then you're focusing on your customers, maintaining consistency as you grow and as you scale, and then making sure that you are leveraging tools and technology to help not only accelerate that growth, but to support it, to make sure that things don't break and that you don't stray too far away from really who you are and what you're all about as you are growing. So we'll spend a little bit of time going through each of those in our time together today. So for me, it's all about starting with quality. In order to grow, it's making sure that you do have a quality product that you are bringing out there to your customers. And for me, as I think about quality, one of the big metrics that I always get excited about is repeat business. So when you have customers that come back to you year after year after year to send their employees through your training programs is typically a really good sign that the quality is there and that you're making a change for them. And it's the highlight of my day and of my week when we get those messages in from past clients, past course participants that they may say, I took this course with you 20 years ago. It changed my career. I'm now leading a company, or I started my own company, and I want to put my people through this course. So when it comes to quality training, one of the big things that I always think about is how are you bringing about behavioral change? Whether it is soft skills training like presenting and public speaking, or it's more along the lines of maybe you're doing technical courseware training or HVAC training. Really, at the end of the day, the goal of it is you're trying to get people to think, do, act, behave differently. So for us, that's a big focus, is this behavioral change. And so we have really 4 steps that we think about as we're focused on how do we bring about behavioral change. And we realize that the training just doesn't happen, and that change just doesn't happen in that finite time that we have with the students in the classroom, whether it's virtual or in person. So we look at pre-work to set people up for success, building self-awareness and creating a baseline, our learn, practice, apply methodology, and then the ever so important post-program reinforcement. So from a pre-work perspective, one of the things that we want to make sure that we're doing is setting participants up for success before they even get to the classroom. They need to know, okay, what are the technology requirements for this if it's a virtual classroom? Do I need to bring my laptop? Do I need to have a recording device? Do I need to prepare a presentation if it's one of our public speaking type classes? So for each of our programs, whether it's corporate or open enrollment, we have specially designed pre-work, and it varies from course to course. So a writing skills training pre-work is going to be different than a public speaking skills pre-work. So we make sure that people are equipped with this. So they come into class prepared, they've checked their microphones, they have enough storage on their device, they brought slides, they brought challenging questions, whatever it could be. The second component is really creating that baseline. If you're trying to bring about behavioral change, getting people to understand where they are today is a big part of that. So do I think I'm a great communicator? Do I have opportunities for improvement? Everyone's going to have their own thoughts on that. But when you have exercises and activities that really help to make people aware of where they are today and to build that self-awareness, it sets the stage for lasting behavioral change. Whether it is standing up and giving a presentation or working with formulas in an Excel spreadsheet, if you can get a good sense of where I am today, it helps chart that path for where I want to go. The third component that we think about with having quality and bringing about behavioral change is the courses, making them not just theoretical. If it's focused just on theory, people are likely going to forget it. They're often going to feel that, well, I can just pull this up off of the web or ask ChatGPT or something about it. So we look at how do we learn a new skill, have an opportunity to practice that new skill, and then finally, how do I apply it into a real world, real life relevant situation? So for example, as part of our pre-work, we ask them to bring a presentation that they give on a regular basis, or that they'll be giving coming up, or a meeting that they're preparing for, or an email that they have to send. So when we think about this learn, practice, apply, we want to create relevancy there so that they can apply those skills to something that's very critical to them and meaningful to them. And then finally, reinforcement. We want to make sure that the learning doesn't stop in the classroom. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So if I think about this idea of bringing about behavioral change and this learn, practice, apply methodology, I'm not sure if anyone out there listening plays golf, maybe you play tennis, willing to bet there's some pickleball players just with how popular that is. But I enjoy playing golf. I am terrible at golf. I am not good at it, but I do like going out there, being outside, spending time with my friends out on the golf course. So if I were to hire a golf pro and maybe we go out and we play a round of 18 holes together, and at the end of those 18 holes, the instructor says, Scott, you know what? If you just kind of closed the club face a little bit, maybe widened your stance out a little bit, you would have completely eliminated that slice or that hook, and your score would have been much better. You would have been right in the driveway. If they wait till the end of the 18 holes to tell me that, I'm frustrated. I'm upset with how I played. I likely have lost all my balls into the woods or into the lakes. My reception to that is not going to be as positive. The likelihood that I'm going to implement those changes next time are a lot lower because I haven't seen the immediate results from doing so. So if you take that to the classroom and think about, if I wait until the end of an assignment, the very end of an assignment to give people their feedback, or the end of a project to give them feedback, the likelihood of success is lower. So we utilize something called in-the-moment coaching to drive behavioral change. So if you bring this to the golf course, if I'm on the tee box of the first hole and on my first backswing, if the instructor sees something that's not right, they're going to stop me. Say, Scott, remember what we said, spread the feet a little bit, turn in the club face. Same thing in the classroom. When we're teaching presentation or public speaking skills, if somebody is getting ready to present and they have their hands in their pocket, or they're shifting, or they're mumbling, the instructors will immediately stop them, remind them of what they have learned, and have them pick it up and redo it. And literally, if it's 5 seconds later, we will stop them again. So using this in-the-moment coaching is a way for people to start to see, as they implement the changes, they see improved outcomes from doing that. So as you think about quality training, whether it's soft skills, hard skills, or really any type of thing that you're doing, start to think about how do we get that in the moment coaching in that to try to drive behavioral change sooner rather than later. The second thing is that post-program reinforcement that I talked about a little bit ago. A lot of the folks on this call are probably, I'm assuming, in the learning and training space, running training organizations, whether they're private organizations or may even work for an organization and you handle internal training and development. But a lot of you may be familiar with something called Ebbinghauser's forgetting curve. In essence, what that says is without any type of additional follow-up or reinforcement, there's a potential for learners to lose upwards of 70 to 75% of what they learned in class within 24 hours. There's a very steep drop-off of learning retention if there are not opportunities to apply that. So if you think about any type of training that you are delivering, if somebody does not have an opportunity to practice that training right away. So if it is public speaking training, Excel training, or how to use a particular piece of equipment, they don't have any opportunities to practice, there's a high likelihood they're going to forget a lot of that information and a lot of those skills. That's why we provide something called Communispond Digital that gives all of the participants access to a number of resources to really help not only reinforce what they learn in class, but to give them some extra tidbits that are somewhat related. So they have access to their course materials, and this is for a public speaking course, so practice slides, some tip cards that we give them, and then you can see down at the bottom that where it says learn to. This is just a collection of short 5 to 7 minute videos that we've created that are refreshers around certain things. So if I have a presentation coming up and I'm thinking about, God, what was that eye brain control thing called, or whatever skill that it was, they can go watch a short video on that. So there's lots of things that they can do there to help reinforce the learning, to keep things going, blogs, podcasts, asking the coach for additional information on things that were covered in the class. So as we think about from before the class with pre-work all the way to that post-program reinforcement, for us, that's how we really strive for the quality and bringing about behavioral change with our learners. The second area, as we think about how to really effectively grow the organization, is focusing in on the customer. And you hear this a lot from organizations that it's customer focused. Amazon's likely the biggest one that most people think about that are just obsessed with their customers. And as we think about focusing in on the customer, one of the things that's important to us is really to focus in on who we are as a business, right? So for us, really, our vision is to help the world communicate better. And having this vision, and I will say some people don't like mission or vision statements. They feel that they get a little too lofty or a little too wordy. But as you have some sort of statement, some sort of North Star, it really helps you to make decisions as you are hearing things from your customer. So this vision of to help the world communicate better really for us helps drive decisions around, do we build new course content? Do we enter new markets? Do we say yes or no to a particular project? And we routinely will say no to a client because if you take, say, a 8-hour training and they want to get it done, an 8-hour training that's designed for 10 people, they want to do it in 2 hours and put 40 people into the class. For us, that's not going to maintain the quality. That's not going to drive behavioral change. And for us, it's not going to work towards that vision of really helping people to communicate better. So having that North Star vision helps us as we're making decisions. So when you think about this customer focus, it really is a balancing act. What are we hearing from our customers, whether they're directly telling us in the classroom, they're submitting feedback on the evaluations after the course, they're sharing it with the sales reps or the account executives, or as we survey customers. We start to look at these types of things and then make changes or make tweaks as it aligns to that vision and what we're hearing from customers. There's 3 big changes that we've had come about over the past number of years based on feedback that we were hearing. So derivative programs, our open enrollment offerings, and then the global expansion. So for derivative programs, we've really been listening to customers as the world of work has evolved. When Communispond was founded over 50 years ago, our flagship presentation skills course, I believe, was 6 weeks long. So the thought of a business professional today spending 6 weeks training on one particular topic is, I think, pretty much unheard of, especially in the soft skill space. Maybe highly technical skills, yes, but 6 weeks on a soft skill, one soft skill, nearly impossible to get that much time dedicated. So we started developing and adapting the programs as we got it down to, our core program is 2 days. We've developed derivative programs that are 1 day that focus on core sets of skills that we were hearing about, and another 1 day that focuses on other sets. And we even have half-day programs available and flexible delivery options to make sure that we can accommodate working learners that are at home offices, that are working in the traditional office setting. The second component is the open enrollment offerings, or those public offerings. Everyone calls it something a little bit different. As we were working with clients, and we work, I would say, primarily with larger organizations, say in the Fortune 1000, but we do work with companies of all shapes and sizes. And what we realize is not every organization either has the resources or the critical mass to do a dedicated in-house offering. There might be a small startup and they have 4 or 5 salespeople that they want to put through training. So we started, rolling out these open enrollment programs where individuals can sign up. And then the other thing that we were hearing from clients is, and from my perspective, I can share this now as a business leader, whenever a client is bringing a new vendor or a new provider in, there's always that thing in the back of their head, like, gosh, I hope this goes well. I'm in essence vouching for this provider to come in and provide X, Y, and Z services, or provide this training for our leadership team or our high potential team. So by having these open enrollment programs, not only does it allow us to serve smaller segments of organizations, it really allows our potential buyers to test us out, to take us for the test drive. They can maybe send 1 or 2 people, or they could attend themselves, get a good experience for the quality training programs, the resources that they receive. And I could say more often than not, when we have decision makers going through these open enrollment programs, it leads to buying afterwards, right? Very soon after, they say, okay, yes, I do want to bring this in for my team. And then the final thing for us from a global, or from a growth standpoint, has been global expansion. And for us, we have not taken that if you build it, they will come mentality. So we don't just start bringing trainers on all over the world and hope for the best. As a relatively small organization that's trying to grow, we've been really good about listening to our clients. And as we've worked with larger organizations, we would hear that we want to train people, but we have people in Charlotte, North Carolina. We have people in Shanghai, Mumbai, Dubai, and everywhere in between. And when we train them, we don't like having to work with different providers all over the world, because then people come out, quote, speaking different languages, different communication languages. So they want that consistency as they are bringing on training providers. So as we've been working with global clients and we discover the need, that's where we work to open up new markets and bring on and certify quality trainers to make sure that we are maintaining the consistency, the quality, and driving behavioral change. So we know that somebody going through a program in the US versus anywhere else in the world with one of our instructors is getting the same experience. So I just touched a little bit on this concept of consistency. That's something that has been really important to our clients. So whether you are a hyper local training provider right now and you're working in maybe a single state or a single market, and you're looking to spread out perhaps across the United States or across your country, or you're looking to go into, you're looking to go into different markets across the world, it's figuring out how do we maintain this consistency and this quality as we grow. For us, a big part of that has been through our instructor certification process. As I mentioned, our clients want to make sure that people are getting a consistent experience if they go through a program in January, if someone goes to another program in February or in June, or if they're doing it anywhere throughout the world. So for us, for anytime we bring on a new instructor, whether they are one of our certified instructors that's going to teach our clients, or sometimes our clients will come to us and want to certify their internal trainers to be able to deliver our content. They all go through the same process of attend, agree, prepare, practice, and teach or co-teach. So anyone that wants to be certified has to attend a full delivery of the class that they want to be certified in. So if they want to be certified for executive presentation skills, they attend that 2-day course. The second component is the agreements. So if that's with a trainer that we're going to bring on, there's certain trainer agreements around confidentiality, non-compete, IP protections, things like that. Or if it's the commercial details, if it is one of our trainers at a client site that we are working with. The third component is prepare. Once they've attended, all the necessary paperwork is put into place. They receive their materials, the instructor kit that we call it, that has all the slides, student workbooks, faculty notes, everything that they need to get ready to practice. And so they spend multiple days with our head trainer practicing, learning the timing of the content, focusing on the coaching skills, understanding how to manage the classroom dynamics. And then finally, they do have to teach the class multiple times. And when they have a rubric that they are graded on, that the head trainer evaluates them based on. So they go through these steps. Once they've completed their teaches and have hit a high enough score on their evaluation, they are in turn certified. So this process is something that has really helped us to maintain both the quality and that consistency across the globe with all of our trainers at all of our different client sites, and still helps us focus on that vision of helping the world to communicate better. So as I stepped into a new role here about 3 years ago, initially I was heading up sales and marketing for Communispond, and about 3 years ago, I moved into the president position. It really expanded my scope a little bit from not just sales and marketing, but more of some of the operational components and the logistics components of the business. And so I started taking a more holistic view of the organization. I realized there were some opportunities for us to leverage technology better in service of that vision and in service of quality and consistency. And ultimately, that's what led me to connect with Andre here at Arlo, as I was exploring some ways where we can be a little bit more efficient and effective with what we're doing and consistent. So, Andre, I don't know if you want to just share a little bit about some of our initial conversations.
Definitely. And I do remember, us talking and you mentioning two of the key pillars that you were looking for was around that, consistency and also the visibility components. And if we're looking at consistency, that really plays into the end user experience, right? So your learners, your customers, what does that experience look like for them to come to your website, find a course, book onto it, and then obviously take that course and beyond. And as I mentioned, obviously a key piece of that is the website. And if anyone's on the call who, sells training, you'll know that the website is a really key part of the business. And if it's done right, it can be your best salesperson, and it can be working 24/7 to sell your courses and find you customers. And so, it's such a key piece that here at Arlo, we even have a dedicated services team that are just specialized on helping people build and optimize their website. And so this is a topic. The website is really a topic we could talk about in its own webinar, but keen to kind of dive into a few of the key elements of the Communispond website, Scott, that you've found help you be successful. So yeah, what have some of those been?
Yeah, that's a great point about the visibility and consistency. Those were definitely two things that we were looking at in the website component is something that was really attractive to us, and something that was very important, really a non-negotiable, as we were looking for some technology partners around managing our training operations. So before we started with Arlo, the website that we used for our open enrollment and public programs was separate from our existing website. The branding did not look the same. It was not optimized for search. The pages were very static, so we would have to load a course, it ran, it was gone. Load a course, it ran, it was gone. So it didn't help feed the SEO engine to drive more awareness. So we were looking for an organization that would help us be able to easily build out a polished, professional looking site for these open enrollment programs right out of the box. So I don't come out of a technology background. As I mentioned, I was a teacher and they came out of sales, but I was able to get relatively quickly the Arlo website for Communispond's training up and running quite easily. And you can see a snapshot of it here on the screen. And some of the neat features that I've really enjoyed with it is, one, to create urgency, right? So you have limited places, banners pop up, or when a course gets confirmed, a little flag pops up to show that it's been confirmed on the website. I've noticed from a search perspective, inquiries that are coming through and registrations that are coming through. The first page that they land on often is one of these dedicated course pages for a specific market. So it really helps us to have visibility 24/7. And as I was thinking about it before, right, we operate globally, but we were headquartered, and the majority of our staff was US based and in the Eastern time zone. So if we had somebody from London that was registering for a program, it could be hours before they ever heard from somebody really acknowledging that, yeah, it went through, the payment went through, answering questions. With the Arlo tool on the Arlo website, really wherever anyone is in the world, we're able to serve them the appropriate courses in the appropriate currency, and then they're getting immediate acknowledgement and communications around what's going on. So for us, having the consistency and the visibility all around through the website was something that was really important, and it's definitely helped us as we've continued to grow this piece of our business.
Awesome. And you sort of touched on it there, Scott, that obviously the website is the start, in many cases is the start of that customer experience and that customer journey. But it's by no means the end. They get to the website, they can read up about the courses that you offer and hopefully register onto one of them. But then it's about, okay, what does that look like beyond that? And you kind of touched on it. What's the communication that they receive, and what's the consistency or the speed at which they can get that information? And I know that you automate a lot of that communication and to kind of allow you to sell courses internationally across a whole bunch of different time zones. So yeah, talk to us a little bit about that a bit further around that automated communication side of things and how that's helped you with the consistency.
Yeah, happy to share that. This was one of the other things that I would say was mission critical for us, really a non-negotiable as we were looking into partners for this was, yes, they needed to have a website that we could brand to make it look like our own. And the one thing I forgot to mention about the website was we were able to get the Arlo standalone website up and running very easily. Once we had that up, we completely revamped our main website and was able to easily integrate Arlo's page into our website. So it's very seamless now. Our websites run off of WordPress. There's a great integration tool. So everything is housed right there. So when people are coming and finding our programs, they have that one-stop shop. But in addition to the website, the communications and the automated communications was something really important. As I mentioned, when you have somebody manually doing this, it's really dependent upon their time. If they're bombarded with other tasks, other projects, they're in meetings all day, they're out of the office, other people are having to pick up their tasks, or if people are registering in off hours, you can get away with some general things, probably through Outlook with autoresponders and depending on the sophistication of your CRM. But having these communications that are automated so that people immediately know, yes, my registration was received, here's what I need to do, or here's what I should not be doing. One of the cool features was with the way that we run our programs, we have a minimum number of registrations that we want to hit before we consider a class to be confirmed, because we're sending these all over the country and different parts of the world. We want to make sure from a business perspective, it makes sense to run it. So before a class is officially confirmed, the message on the screen is typically what people would receive. We received your registration on these particular dates and times. The course isn't confirmed yet, so please don't book any non-refundable travel, things like that. Once we hit that critical mass, we just check a box in Arlo, the course moves to confirmed, and it pushes out the confirmation messages to all the people that are registered, and we were able to tailor those confirmation messages, attach pre-work, depending on the market, maybe recommend hotel options if they need them. And once a course is confirmed, moving forward, people just automatically get that confirmation message when they receive. So the system knows, based on the status of the class, which message to feed to them. And if they make changes, they're getting communications if they're able to go in and change their registrations. So there's been a lot of really neat features around this that have helped us to, once again, maintain consistency, deliver the pre-work so we can focus in on quality, and then just be a lot more efficient as we grow.
Awesome. And that, yeah, really ties into that consistency, as you said. when we look at the visibility piece of that kind of key pillar we discussed earlier, I know obviously that that's all about having the right information in the right place so that your team can take action on it. And I'm aware that you do some pretty cool stuff in this space around integrating your website with some analytics tools in your CRM. And yeah, that really obviously helps your sales team. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's been pretty neat over the past, I would say 9 months. We've done a lot of work, not only to the website, but also moving over to a new CRM and being able to connect all these systems together with the website, with the CRM, as well as with Arlo, especially with Arlo being able to tie into Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics, gives us a lot of not only visibility for visibility's sake, but as you mentioned, being able to equip the sales team with real-time data as to what's going on. So we can see, as we push out messaging, say around open enrollment programs, from the bullseye on the right, we can see when people hit the website. We can see specific pages that they're going to. So I can see on this one, they're checking out the upcoming events page. They've then clicked through to a specific instance of executive presentation skills. That's the Arlo course, and then even moved into the checkout page. So it helps us to do a number of things. One, we can start to see, cart abandonment, so to speak. Are people getting to checkout and then leaving? Helps us to understand, okay, maybe we have too many required fields. Like people are dumping out when they get to this thing. They don't want to provide X, Y, and Z information. It also helps us to know some of the efficiency of our messaging. Are people going to the specific course pages? Are they going to the upcoming pages? And it allows salespeople to see what's going on. So we have triggers built up so that if somebody has been on a page that we have it built out, that if somebody's been on a page that has one of our targeted cities in it, right? We offer these, say, in 20 cities throughout the United States. They've been on that page for a certain amount of time. The sales reps get a notification so they can maybe schedule a follow-up task, reach out if they can answer any questions. So it's really helped to equip not only the business to make decisions about our courses, but the sales reps to really move in real time.
Yeah, fantastic. And then, as you mentioned, obviously seeing data like the cart abandonment information to see where people are getting stuck in your kind of website or checkout is key to be able to improve it. And so that's awesome to have that data at your fingertips. And it ties really nicely into the next piece, which is around just reporting in general. And this is obviously crucial for you to kind of see how the business is doing, but also make some of those important decisions. And I know that you've got reports that you're running daily, weekly, monthly, to kind of give you that insight. So what are some of those reports that you're running, and what does it allow you to do?
Yeah, as we were going through this process, the visibility, as you mentioned, was key. And we wanted to, not only from a business perspective, be able to see things to make decisions. So, for example, are certain markets, are we seeing people cancel at the last minute than other markets? Or are people constantly rescheduling out of certain programs? So it gives us a lot of visibility on that. It allows our ops teams to know very quickly, this course has hit the minimum number requirement. I can start booking the hotels or the venues or things like that where we're going to do the training. But when it comes back to growth, it's about equipping the salespeople with real-time data as to what's going on with this course. So, for example, if we have a sales rep out in Phoenix, right? They're 3 hours behind us. If they're talking with a client at, say, 4 p.m. their time, the person that managed this would be in East Coast. They would be done off having dinner. They have a client that says, hey, I want to register people for this program. Are there enough seats? I have 5 people I want to register. I want to get this done right away. Historically, we didn't have visibility and access for everybody to be able to see this. And all this information was kept just on disparate spreadsheets and in different systems all over the place. So by having the reporting features that we could push out on a daily, weekly basis, sales reps can easily see, yep, there's 5 seats left. You have 5 people. You better hurry up and get them registered before somebody comes in and takes one of those seats. So it enables them to make decisions to better inform their clients as to what's going on versus saying, you know what, well, I'll find out when the office opens back up in the morning. And by then that client could have moved on to a different provider. Somebody could have came in and taken up those last few seats. So it really does give the sales team a lot better visibility, as well as having these read-only licenses for Arlo. They can get in at any time of the day and check the status of any course, whether it's in their market or really across the globe. So having that visibility really for us has been key for trying to drive growth into these programs.
Awesome. And obviously, Scott, we've only really just touched the surface of a lot of the stuff that you've worked on over the last few years in your role. But if we are just taking a step back and looking at the big picture, what's been the result of the stuff you've implemented?
For me, the big result and the key takeaway has been we've been able to add more programs to our open enrollment offerings and not have to add headcount to it. Kind of the contrary of that, we're able to take resources away that we're focusing on a lot of these tasks and apply them to much higher value things across the organization. So it's been great to be able to do more and take the resources that we have and apply them elsewhere rather than just working on spreadsheets and manually processing and manually emailing people about course changes and cancellations and reschedules and all that type of stuff. So it's been really neat to see that as the growth has happened, but we have not had to continue to add headcount to manage it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott. This is very useful stuff, and hopefully everyone's got some key takeaways there. We're going to jump into a bit of a Q&A in just a moment. So any questions you've got around any of the stuff discussed today, feel free to post them in the webinar chat there. Well, there's also a Q&A button below there as well, and I'll just pull that up to see I can see some coming in. So there's one here from Rob, Scott, that says, how could some of these principles be applied to private courses where clients book separate dates and programs, which are sometimes bespoke? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so as I think about, and probably more specifically is, how do you take all of these principles or particular principles of Arlo? I'm not exactly sure on the question, but I would say from my experience, the tools that Arlo have definitely play into the private side. And then on the Communispond side, we do a lot of corporate training, a lot of custom bespoke training where we're meeting with somebody, discovering the particular needs that they have, tailoring, tweaking one of our programs, and then delivering it. So we're following that same methodology of we're developing pre-work for this program and tweaking it. We may modify what they get as part of the post-program stuff. And then in the middle, we really are still doing those same things with the learn, practice, apply methodology and establishing baselines. So for us, whether it is a private program or a corporate program, really those four principles of how do we think about growth have maintained and been the same. And then from the Arlo perspective, it's I think some small tweaks really for how we would do it for corporate programs is maybe you take visibility off the site, then you're getting a list and registering people that way. So I think it applies to both scenarios.
Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of the content we've covered is really applicable for those open enrollment public courses as well as the private courses, and it sort of feeds into a little bit. I can see Lisa has a question there around how to run those private programs in Arlo, and you sort of touched on that. And so to go a little bit deeper on that, Lisa, we do have kind of private functionality inside of Arlo. You can schedule private courses which are kind of tied to a particular organization or key contact. There's some workflows there to manage the invoicing or orders around that, letting people sign up themselves, or if you are provided a list, you can kind of add those from the back end. Anything to add to that, Scott, around how you're using Arlo for those private courses?
Yeah, so I know our sister organization, Logical Operations, has a handful of training centers in the northeast part of the country, and they do use the Arlo tool for private programs. Andre, just as you said, right? You mark them private so they're not showing up on the website. You tag them to a particular client, and then you can, rather than say having people go out and register on the website, going through that registration form that was popped up on one of the screens, you can manually add registrations to those courses.
100%. And just to add to that, even on those private courses, if you do want to go the route of letting people book themselves, that you do have that option for a private link. But as Scott mentioned, it isn't sort of one that's just advertised on the website. Another question from Howard was around, finding the good presenters or trainers. And this was kind of one of the key challenges mentioned in the poll at the beginning of the webinar. That's obviously a key challenge for a lot of training providers, is finding great instructors. How have you done that? Because I know you've obviously gone global, and that's been a piece you've got to do, is find trainers from all around the world. What has been some of the key things there?
Yeah. So how do you find effective quality trainers? There's a few things where a lot of our trainers have come from. One is referrals. We ask our existing trainers for referrals of people that they know, especially as we're expanding into different markets. And it's been kind of neat to see, as Communispond's been around for 50 plus years. We have some of our trainers where we're on second generation, where their kids now have come on and started doing training with us. I think definitely referrals is one. The second component, there are organizations out there like training associates where you can go out and source trainers that way. And then as you are expanding, say, into international markets, there's a lot of good groups through LinkedIn to try and find trainers that way. So those have been three of the big things. Like I said, really focusing in on referrals, looking at LinkedIn and networking that way. And then I will say the third one is, we have had a number of our trainers come from our clients. So either they were a certified trainer at our client and they were let go through a reduction in force or something like that, or they're retiring. They have come to us looking for opportunities to train.
Fantastic. Just see if there's any other questions here. There's one here, says, I'm very new to Arlo. Sorry if it's been covered. Is Arlo a platform that I can use to host my own courses, or a platform that hosts many courses with your own instructors only? So I'll touch on this. Yeah, Arlo is really a platform for you to use to manage and schedule your own courses, and you can kind of use that for the logistical side of scheduling them in, obviously advertising them on the website potentially if they're those public or open enrollment courses, letting people sign up, the automated communication, etc., that goes on behind the scenes. So there's a lot of sort of pieces to it, but definitely there for you to be able to host your own courses. Yeah, hope that answers your question. Got Bailey asking, do you have any tips on maximizing engagement during a virtual class? Scott, what's your thinking on that one?
How do you get people engaged during a virtual class? That's one of the more challenging things out there as we think about the virtual world today, delivering live virtual instructor-led training, if that's specifically what you're asking about. It's challenging in the sense that people are extremely distracted, right? Emails, text messages, phone calls, alerts going up. One, at the beginning of class, we really do try to set the stage and let people know very clearly, we're going to have breaks throughout. So I think if you can set the stage that you're going to have time to answer those text messages and emails, you're going to have bio breaks, you're going to have all these things. So try to eliminate those distractions. Then the second component is, how do we just make sure that we leverage the tools effectively? So as like Andre and Bianca set up for the polls at the beginning, trying to incorporate polls throughout training, encouraging people to use the chat features is another great way. Another key thing on a lot of the platforms now, the virtual platforms, are the whiteboard features, where you can splash up a whiteboard and not only can you, quote, write or draw something on there, you can invite participants to do something. So something as simple as putting it up there, and maybe you have 4 possible answers to a question, you draw a quadrant and say mark and which quadrant you would pick. Something little that will just get people pulled back into the training to make sure that they aren't fading out. And then just the other component, and I think it lends itself well to what Communispond does with soft skills training, is they're very active and engaging. So if you look at one of our outlines, it's very much activity, activity, activity. We leverage break rooms as well. So I think that'd be the final thing I'd recommend is, can you use the breakout rooms so where people are bouncing ideas off of each other, and then as the instructor pulling them all back, and you can bounce from room to room to room.
Yeah, and the likes of Zoom obviously have a lot of features to try and help make things more interactive and engaging. It's yeah, definitely worth looking at using those. I know, Scott, that you're obviously running courses both in person and also live online. Is the content that you're covering on those kind of live online courses more or less the same, or is it tweaked for that kind of delivery method?
So the outcomes, I would say, are the same. We definitely tweak the content a little bit just to adjust for the delivery method. So if we know it's being delivered virtually, we're going to bake in some more activities throughout there, and then the cadence of the break is going to be a little bit different, incorporating more polls into it. So outcomes are the same, but we absolutely do not just take a live 1-day course, slap it up on Zoom, and try to do the same thing. For me, that's a recipe for a disaster to do that, because you need to be aware that the learning styles of somebody in a classroom and what's going to work well online are going to vary a little bit.
Yep, definitely. Got a question here for about you're new to Arlo and want to find out if Arlo can allow our clients to automatically book and reserve dates for a potential in-house, and Arlo automatically create a quote with relevant discounts applied. So this is a bit of a complex question, so definitely one we can jump on a call after if you want to discuss further. So you can definitely obviously display the course offerings you have on your website, including ones that you allow to be run in-house. The default way you would kind of use that with Arlo would be people would inquire about a course, and then you would have a conversation with them about, how many people are they looking to train in-house, etc. And you'd build them a quote from there, and you can send that quote out through Arlo. There are some options to automate a lot of that, depending on the exact requirements. So yeah, definitely happy to have a conversation afterwards if you want to explore that further. But
And one of the things we didn't touch on is the great use of discount codes in the platform. So you can create unique discount codes for specific events that are timestamped, so it will expire on a certain date, certain number of uses. Here we have each individual rep has their own codes that they can share out with people, whether they're doing social media marketing or email marketing. So it's kind of adjacent to what the person asked there. But when you talk about specialized pricing, I think it can get as granular to the point as if somebody comes in with a certain domain in their email address. So at communispond.com, it would be able to automatically trigger that preferred pricing for them.
yeah, no, definitely discounting is a core feature of Arlo and can be manually or automatically applied based on a lot of different criteria. So that, yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Scott. Awesome. That looks like that is all of the questions and just on time as well. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. It's been awesome to kind of run through this content. If any of you are interested in learning a little bit more about Arlo, you're more than welcome to scan that top QR code and book a time with myself, and we can have a conversation. Or if you're interested in learning more about what Communispond do and seeing their tools and resources and courses, that second QR code will be the one to scan. You're also more than welcome to add myself or Scott on LinkedIn. We'd love to connect. Yeah, so thank you very much. Hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.